I really started my real privacy career at a .com in 1999 for a company called Engage, which was an online advertising company. And back then we called online behavioral advertising profiling, which was really bad branding, but we did. And in some ways, this kind of feels like Groundhog Day because you know, we're doing the same darn thing in terms of the debate over and over and over again. So we fortunately have Justin Weiss in the room, and I'm going to call him out and ask for his comments. Justin, is this just a rehash of the exact same debate year over year over year, or are we actually going to move forward on online behavioral advertising sometime soon?
I guess I would make a couple of observations and start by reacting to something that Peter said, which is that whether we should be taking a specific bill seriously or not. And one thing that I would point out is that in the privacy regulatory regime in the United States, the pedigree has fallen much more to using legislative, public policy, even media mechanisms to compel companies to make attestations about what they will or will not do, thereby binding them under Section 5 authority for unfair deceptive trade practices. And I think that that underpins the structure, almost the quasi-regulatory structure, the legal enforcement structure for self-regulatory responses that, yes, were born of 2000, like the NAI initiative, which was functionally an FTC settlement over a double-click data merger issue. But as we see new technologies that perhaps are, from a privacy perspective, impacting users in comparable ways, that the notion of profiling, when you introduce new technologies that go beyond the technologies that were available in 2000, new, yes, familiar privacy questions are raised, but the solutions that are brokered over time are suddenly inadequate. And so there's a need to essentially repressure the system to deal with it in a substantive way. In 2000, the predominant technology used for online data collection and aggregation and analysis, the HTTP cookie. It's still the predominant technique used by companies to engage in that, but with the emergence of new technologies through Flash Player and Adobe Flash, locally stored objects, browser sniffing, there's sort of new technologies that anew, people are saying, is this new, is this different? No matter what, we ought to be discussing profiling again, because the existing mechanisms, which are now actually binding under Section 5 authority because they're attestation-based, need to be refreshed. At a minimum, companies should have to stand up and say they will honor a do not track signal, which is now available in the Mozilla browser. As you say, nobody knows what that means yet, or what the scope of compliance would look like, but the mere compulsion to attest that you will respond to that in a responsible way is being driven by dropping a bill. You know, when Senator Rockefeller says, I really care about this, and I'm going to have 5 hearings about this, and I want everybody to come in and tell me all about this new technology, figure it out, and the Federal Trade Commission is saying, we may not be recommending legislation, but we'd really like to see companies attest that they will honor a do not track mechanism. I think we have to have that kind of a cycle in mind, and think of that as a regulatory process functionally.